Alrighty, so today we're back talking about the Leeds Cup and most specifically talk about winners and losers during the Leeds Cup tournament because I think after the Leeds Cup tournament is over, there's always an article talk about who are the biggest winners and biggest loser in the Leeds Cup tournament, and I thought might as well do a video similar to that, looking at who are the teams that are going to be very happy coming out of this Leeds Cup tournament and who are going to be the team that's going to be very disappointed after this tournament is over. So we start off with the winners, and this one is pretty self-explanatory. In fact, I don't even need to mention too much about this team being the winner because they won the whole thing. That is Inter Miami winning the Leeds Cup tournament. And again, I'm gonna say this for a lot of people that said that, well, this is rigged. The fact that they of course won this tournament. No, it's not rigged. I mean, they still had to work hard in terms of winning each games. Like if it is rigged, then let me ask you how what are some of the things throughout the journey for Inter Miami to reach League Cup glory that you think it's rigged. I mean, yes, there have been some referee decision that has kind of gone in their favor, but I haven't seen a situation where it was pretty obvious that some of these referee decisions are clearly favorites Inter Miami, and it's not Inter Miami fault that the fact that their road to the League Cup final are relatively easy. I mean, there's an old saying that you can only play against the team that you're facing either in the regular season or in a tournament, and not to mention this team faced some adversity too. Like they could have easily got knocked out against FC Dallas, and even in that final against Nashville, with the Nashville play relatively well, but they show that mentality to able to come back, and that again. I find it ridiculous for some people to say that this tournament is clearly rigged because of Inter Miami and Messi winning his first trophy, even though he's only been with the club for about a month. Then we talk about the other winners, and this one's also pretty self-explanatory. And of course, is Nashville SC. And again, even though they lost the final, I think Nashville fans should be very proud of this team, especially the fact that unlike Inter Miami, they have probably the toughest road in terms of getting to the final. I mean, when you look at their road to the final face against some of the best team in Liga MX and in MLS to get that, and mostly Liga MX because they had to face against Rayados in that semifinal, and that was a Rayados team that everybody thought that they were going to get to the final because of how good they are, and even against some of these MLS team too. I mean, facing against FC Cincinnati, which was the best team in MLS up to that point, and heading into a hostile environment to do so, and also facing against one of the surprise of the tournament in Minnesota. I think Nashville should be very proud in terms of how far that they gone, and that they definitely hope that the momentum that they had in this League Cup tournament will also carry to league play, because in league play coming into this tournament, people forget that Nashville was not doing very well heading into this League Cup tournament, and a lot of Nashville fans didn't think that they would go really deep in this tournament. But hey, look where they got all the way to the final, and they were just a whisker away from a PK shootout, and literally a goalkeeping battle in the PK shootout away from winning the Leagues Cup tournament. Then we get to the next team, and of course, this is my team, Minnesota United. So again, I know this might sound biased, but I do think that just like Nashville, I don't think a lot of Minnesota fans thought that this team would go deep. I mean, sure, yes, they have the talent to do so, but when you look at this Loons team and also the adversity that they have faced, I mean, this team has had to face some adversity with the way that they found themselves 3 games in this tournament of getting red cards. I think this team had the most game out of any teams that had to be down to 10 men. And yes, I know they eventually imploded in that game against Nashville, but looking at those first 2 games, I mean, down to 10 men against Puebla. Yes, Puebla is not considered to be a very good team, but the fact that they still able to hang free after that red cards happened is quite impressive. And even in the game against Toluca, that one was probably even more impressive because again, that game against Toluca, it looked like that team is going to implode with the way that Toluca has been just so good in this tournament and able to knock them out in a PK shootout. That's all obviously impressive. And the same goes with them knocking out the Columbus Crew in the round 32. Keep in mind, this is a Columbus team that just fresh off of that big statement win against Club America, and you thought that maybe it's Columbus time to make a deep run, and they didn't do that as Minnesota able to knock them out. in the round of 32. So again, this team really overachieved in terms of what I thought they were going to be. I thought the furthest they probably could have gone maybe was a round of 32, and if they're lucky, maybe the round of 16. But the fact that they made it to the quarterfinal, and even though the way that they end their Leeds Cup tournament was a little underwhelming, getting completely destroyed by Nashville, it's still considered to be a really good tournament, and hope that that will be used for them to trying to get themselves higher up in the standing, trying to get themselves uh up in the Western Conference, which they already shown that with a big 2-0 win against NYCFC. Then we go to Charlotte, and Charlotte is that team that I think is the other big winner. Again, Charlotte is another team that I don't think anybody thought that they would go to the quarterfinal. I mean, consider how Charlotte has been very inconsistent this season and inconsistently bad that is. The fact that they're able to stumble their way into a quarterfinal is quite a miracle of its own. And especially, they definitely got themselves some breaks too. I mean, the game against FC Dallas, they were just minutes away from losing that one. And if they didn't win that one, they probably would have knocked out in the group stage. And then the game against Houston, I mean, I know, yes, they kind of got a break because Houston just completely self imploded in a span of 2 minutes. The fact that Christian Latanzio team was able to get that deep into the tournament to the quarterfinal, yeah, that was a big surprise. Now, like Minnesota, their journey in the Leeds Cup kind of ended in an anticlimactic way because when they did face against a juggernaut like Inter Miami, they eventually pretty much imploded in that one. But still, this is a Charlotte team that again, not a lot of people, including myself, thought that they were gonna go deep, and that again, hopefully, that would be used as a way for them to do well in terms of league play too. Because like Minnesota, they're also fighting for some position in the Eastern, or some playoff position in the Eastern Conference too. And then we get to the final winner, and I gotta say it's the Columbus Crew. I mean, I know the Columbus Crew got knocked out in the round of 32, and I know it was kind of a heartbreaking loss because they were minutes away from winning that one. But still, I think Crew fans has been very happy in terms of how they play in the tournament. They were probably one of the more impressive team throughout this tournament, especially after hanging four past Club America in that game. I mean, again, I know, yes, that was a Club America team that wasn't starting a strong team, but the fact that they absolutely dominated Club America like that is a really big surprise, and really kind of sent shit. Shambles in terms of the Club America fan base and even Liga MX in general. So yeah, even though I know this team, if they would have beat Minnesota, I would not be surprised. This team would have gone all the way to the final. That's how good Columbus is, and they shown that in the Hell is Real derby too. You can see how in that Hell is Real derby, they were very frustrated the fact that they got knocked out early, even though they could have gone deeper, and they took their frustration out of their interstate rival, that is FC Cincinnati. Then we get to the losers in terms of this tournament, and there were definitely some disappointing team in this tournament. The first loser, and I know this team got to the quarter, or not the quarterfinal, but the semifinal. But I have to put the Philadelphia Union as a loser because again, for the Union, it's been the same story for this team, really for in this run, where they have been repeatedly in big games. They just unable to to get over the hump in terms of these big games. I mean, it's hard to believe the fact that this is a Union team that when you look at all the success that they have under Jim Kern, the problem for this team is that they still haven't won anything in this big run, and a lot of that has to do with their big game mentality, where it feels like they always find a way to choke in terms of a big game mentality. Now, in the game against Inter Miami, I mean, I don't want to say it was kind of a choke because they got absolutely play out of the park in that one. But again, it just feels like that this has to frustrate a lot of Union fans. The fact that yes, as good as they are, Jim Curtin, I think maybe even some people admit, and this might be an unpopular opinion, I don't think he's a good coach in terms of when it's a big game moment, or a moment of truth moment, because you've seen so many times where in a big game like that, Jim Curran hasn't really done well in terms of getting the team over the hump and making some really questionable tactical decision. And the same goes in this game against Inter Miami, not really playing a very strong starting 11, and it cost them dearly in the game against Inter Miami when they and again, a team that this is a team that I know this is a team that also had a tough role in terms of getting to the final, but you at the same time you got to say that this was really the opportunity for them to do so, and it's another squander opportunity after many opportunities that they have squandered from the CCL that we saw this season to MLS Cup to us to even previous year in the Eastern Conference final. I mean, the list just goes long in terms of the legacy of failure that the Union just cannot get over the hump in terms of these big games. Then we get to the second losers. I have to say, it's the best team in the league. The team that leads the Supporters Shield standing, that is FC Cincinnati. And the reason why it's a loser is because the fact that unlike Columbus, where yes, I know that them along with Columbus got knocked out in the round of 32. But the reason why I put Columbus in the winner category is it was kind of unfortunate that they got knocked out by Minnesota. That wasn't the same case for FC Cincinnati. In fact, in the game against Nashville, oh, they were wellly deserved to lose that game. Like Nashville were the better team in that one, and really when you also look at how both of these Ohio team has played, well, Columbus has been very impressive in this Leeds Cup, easily dispatching St. Louis and also destroying America. That cannot say the same with FC Cincinnati. Yes, they had that big victory against Chivas, but that was really the best that they play in this tournament because you look at the game against Sporting KC, they were very lucky the fact that they were able to win in a PK shootout, and then against Nashville again, just unable to having problems again on the attacking end. They just look very underwhelming this tournament for a team that is leading the Supporters Shield and was supposed to make some big noise. So yeah, very frustrating if you're Pat Nolan of how the performance has been in this Leeds Cup tournament. And then the third team, and this team should not be a big surprise, and that of course is Atlanta United. Again, this is similar to what I said with them in the MOS's back tournament. I know Atlanta coming into this tournament, they were going to be up against it because, when you have Inter Miami in the same group as you are and consider how good they've been, you're going to be up against it. But against Cruz Azul, I mean, that was the game that I thought they blew it. Like they were the better team in that game against Cruz Azul, and yes, they eventually did find the equalizer to send into a PK shootout, but they should have scored more goals in that one. They easily should have won that game, and really that was also the game where I thought it puts a lot of pressure on Gonzalo Pineda and even the GM Carlos Bocanegra. The fact that if they lose that game, there could be a chance that Atlanta might be doing something similar to what happened in the MOS's back tournament, which is decided to fire their head coach after that. It didn't happen though because Gonzalo Pineda is still there. And to Atlanta's credit, they did rebound it once they get back to league play, getting a big 2-0 victory against the Seattle Sounders. But that being said, the inconsistency has also been a problem for Atlanta this season, and I think we saw that too in the Leeds Cup tournament. They were absolutely horrendous against Inter Miami, and I know Inter Miami has made a lot team look bad, but they were really bad in that game, and then against Cruz Azul, even though they played very well in that one, unable to get the big win, and that yeah, again, it's another tournament that they could have probably done a little bit more in this tournament, and they are unable to do so, and it's got to be considered a huge disappointment again. Then we go to number four, and again, this is going to be a little bit controversial because Seattle was already struggling coming into this tournament, and that they were already in a tough group, probably in the group of death alongside with Real Salt Lake and Monterey. But still, knowing that this is a Sounders team that still had that tournament kind of mentality, where this is a team that always gone deep into tournament, and don't forget they're still the only MLS team to ever win the Concacaf Champions League under Brian Schmitz. I thought that they would do something great. I thought this was maybe a tournament where, despite how bad they've been in league plays, maybe that mentality and that history of them able to go through deep into tournament, it's going to come back to the Sounders team. It didn't happen in this. I mean, it did show a little bit, at least for 5 minutes in that game against Rayados, and then they kind of reminds themselves that they've been having a poor season, and yeah, a very underwhelming Leeds Cup term been for the Seattle Sounders team. And really, I think their hope was all gone when they lost 3-0 in that game against RSL, in a game where it was just a total embarrassment if you're a Seattle Founders fan to see a team that once used to be considered to be the echelon of doing well into tournament play, and then they just kind of gone out on a whimper in that game against Real Salt Lake. And then at number five, it's got to be LAFC. I mean, it's got to be LAFC with the way that after looking so convincing in their first two games in the Leagues Cup tournament, it looked like this team was back, and that this team looked like they were make a amends for losing that CONCACAF Champions League. Then they did that in the game against Monterrey. I mean, that was just we talk about some choke jobs that we have seen in this tournament. I think LAFC game against Rayados is probably going to go down as one of the biggest choke job we've seen. And we've seen this story so many times with this LAFC team. I even mentioned it before. If it wasn't for MLS Cup, if it wasn't for Gareth Bale kind of rescue them in that game, and also they were playing against a Union team that also has that choker label, this team would definitely be considered to be have that choker label in their in next to their name. I mean, just so many big games this LAFC team has gone and find more painful way. And whereas the Union, I think they just got straight out blown out in that game in the semifinal. Uh, I mean for LAFC, the game against Monterrey when they were 2-0 up in that game and 2-0 up in the final 20 minutes, they were on hand to get a big win, and then they just self imploded. I mean that there's just no excuse in terms of that. It's got to be very frustrating if you're an LAFC fan. Where you've seen this story so many times before, where this team just simply cannot come through the clutch, and it's kind of the reason why a lot of people have said that. Well, as good as LAFC has been, when it comes to big games, besides that one MLS Cup, they have repeatedly not shown that they can get over the hump, and it was the case again. Again, if they would have won that game against Monterrey, I would definitely think that they would be a team that could be going all the way to the final. I mean, against Nashville will definitely be interesting, but I do think that this team has the weapons to do so. And again, talk about missed opportunity. I talk about Cincinnati and the Union having missed opportunity that they could have gone deep. For LAFC, it feels like it's a missed opportunity. Too, especially with the way how they imploded in that game against Monterrey. But there you have it. That is pretty much it in terms of some of the winners and losers throughout this Leeds Cup tournament. As always, let me know in the comments below what do you think of this list, and if there's some teams that I didn't mention here on the winners and loser list, let me know in the comments below. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you do, make sure you guys do a like, smash the subscribe button, and yeah, I of course will see you guys next time.